Hello everyone, and welcome to my second presentation that I am doing a narration on for the Facebook page. This one's on posture and how it is affecting your health. My name is Dr. Claire, and I am a chiropractor over at Center for Life Chiropractic. And I want to talk to you today. This was actually the first presentation that I had done in the office, but I hadn't done a narration on it. So putting this one together for you guys so we can still listen to it online, but I'll probably be redoing this one again sometime in the future in the office. So I want to talk about what posture is exactly, and that is the position in which we hold our bodies while standing, sitting, or lying down. And it also involves the proper position not only of just the bones of our body, but also the muscles, ligaments, tendons, everything that makes up the skeletal system. And this all works together to oppose the force of gravity, which is always trying to pull us down and put a certain force and stress on our bodies. And then I really like this picture that encompasses the whole point of this whole presentation, that good health really starts with good posture, and we're going to find out why here in a second. So why is good posture important? Well, maintaining proper position decreases our chance of injury, and as well as degeneration of our joints. It helps to prevent muscle fatigue. Obviously maintains proper alignment, but as you practice proper alignment, your body will actually remember the position that it needs to be in, and you'll no longer have to actually work at it. So then also keeping the spinal cord in position allows the brain and spinal cord, which is the central nervous system, allows the proper communication of the central nervous system with the rest of the body through the little nerves that exit the spinal cord. Because as you stay in alignment, your spine is free of any kind of pressure that might be weighing down on those little nerves that exit the spinal cord, and then out into the periphery, which is known as the peripheral nervous system. And that goes to supply communication to organs, muscles, tissues, cells, everywhere else in the body. And this ultimately affects your digestion, blood flow, how you breathe, sleep, think, feel, and act. It affects your immune system, how you heal properly, and how you deal with stressors in your life, and then as well as overall wellness. And then this is a really great picture because it explains everything that I was just trying to explain in the previous slide. So, and if you're not a chiropractor, you don't understand it exactly the way that we do when we look at the spine and then we see, okay, there's misalignments within the spine, and this is most likely affecting certain things, certain functions that are going on in the body. But to a normal person who doesn't have a background, a medical background, I should say, in spinal health, they're not going to understand this, which is why it's important that I put this in this presentation so that all of you can understand what I'm talking about. So to start out, you have the spine. So from the top to bottom, it goes the cervical section, dorsal, which is also thoracic, lumbar, sacrum, and then your coccyx. Now, in each of these segments, you have nerves that exit from the spinal cord out to different organs, different cell membranes, as well as just different cells in general that support function within that region. So let's say, for example, within the thoracic section, which is the mid-back, if you have a compression misalignment within the actual spine, compressing the nerves that are going to, say, the lungs, you might have some symptoms of asthma or shortness of breath or some other airway issues going on. And it could most likely just be because you have a little misalignment within the spine. And that's the goal of chiropractic, is to make sure and find these misalignments within the spine, correct them, so that the body can communicate properly between the brain and spinal cord with the rest of the body, so that it can function at normal capacity. So this pretty much reiterates what I just mentioned in the previous slide, that how chiropractic care can help your posture. And basically, it reestablishes the normal curvature of the spine. removing subluxation, also known as misalignments, which compress the nerves exiting the spine and then allowing the body to function at normal capacity. So some consequences of poor posture, in addition to what I mentioned 2 slides ago, is injury, back pain, because you're pulling muscles in different directions, or you're putting more strain on muscles, being in an improper posture, and then your muscles respond by spasming and then pulling on joints and pulling them out of place. And if this isn't corrected, this is going to go into a chronic thing that keeps happening. So it's really important to address posture if you really want to ultimately prevent misalignments within the spine and the rest of the body. Then poor posture also leads to issues with movement patterns, so how you carry yourself, how you mobilize yourself, which if there's an issue with that, that's where you can have falls and different injuries because of that. And then it also affects your physical activity, so exercise, and then how you just go about doing daily tasks throughout your day. And then as well, like I mentioned before, this is going to go and disrupt the rest of the body's normal functioning because it's compressing communication with the brain and spinal cord. So if certain parts of your body can't send feedback back to the brain that, hey, something's going on, something's not right, and there's no way that you'll ever know that something's wrong, or the body doesn't know in order to fix that. And then with this picture, it's just basically summarizing how bad posture can affect your health, which we've already kind of talked about most of these. But just to reiterate, so muscle pain, like we talked about, it affects your spinal curvature. It can also lead to fatigue, difficulty breathing, like I mentioned before, obviously misaligned vertebrae, and then issues with blood circulation as well. So can this be fixed? Yes, it can be fixed. There are instances where, especially this is seen in the elderly, who have had bad posture for years and years and years, and this is called creep, where you actually see, so we'll talk about the neck. So if someone has been sedentary, just watching TV or sitting for extended periods of time because they either can't get up or they're just too old, there's multiple reasons, but you notice how some elderly people, their necks are actually stuck in a flexed forward position, and that's because of holding poor posture. Your body will remember this, your bones will start to ossify and kind of solidify together, so that when you try to go back in and fix this posture, as someone ages, it's almost near to impossible because the bones have set in this position to counteract the force, that forward flexion, in order to stabilize those segments. So it's really important that at a young age we maintain good posture so that doesn't happen. So it's important to always have a conscious awareness of your body position. If you need to set reminders, post-it notes, or set reminders on your phone, as well as looking at the ergonomics of your home as well as your work area. It's not only about your workstation, but also how you carry yourself even when you're just at home. And then, like I said, this takes practice, but eventually, as you practice this more, your body will remember it, and you won't have to worry about it as much. So I want to talk about how we sit properly first. I'm also going to talk about how we sleep, and then as well as standing, because it's not only one position, it's about different positions that we carry ourselves throughout the day that we have to monitor. So I don't think I need to read through all of these. It's just going to be me doing a lot of talking. So you can go ahead and just pause this here and read through it. Now the next one is about standing properly. I want to make a few pointers here before I just allow you to pause this and then you can read through it. But always making sure that as you're standing upright, you want to make sure that your head isn't flexed forward. You want to make sure that about your ears, your shoulders, and your knees are about in the same alignment, so that you don't have the forward rounded shoulders. Your head isn't going forward into that anterior head carriage position. Your back stays nice in alignment so that you're maintaining the normal curvature of the back, and then you're not affecting your core as well, because as we know that as you have a weak core, that affects your posture as well. So how do I sleep properly? The best way to sleep is probably on your back, but then if you can't do that, it is suggested to sleep on your side. Stomach sleeping is probably the worst for position and posture. So sleeping on your side might be a better option for you if you're a stomach sleeper. But you always want to make sure that your head is properly supported so that it's even with your spine. And then as well as having some support underneath the knees, if you're laying either on your back or on your side, as depicted in the picture, in order to take pressure off of the lumbar spine as well as the pelvis. So this is something that I wanted to talk about with this posture presentation because it's huge in our society. I don't think I know anybody that doesn't have a cell phone. But now that we're becoming more mobile in our society, we're starting to do everything on our phones. So, I mean, I see people walking their dogs outside and they're on their phone. It's become such an important aspect of our lives, of our daily lives. So I wanted to cover this part because I want people to understand how it's affecting your posture. But let's talk about a couple pointers here about how the average person spends about 90 minutes a day on their phone, which adds up to about 23 days a year, and then to about 3.9 years of the average person's life. So this is kind of an issue in our society. I don't know how the rest of the world is, but this is known as text neck. So when you're in normal position, head straight up, you're not in a forward flex position, your ears, shoulders, and knees are in alignment with each other, your head naturally has a weight of around 10 to 12 pounds depending upon the person. So you're putting about 10 to 12 pounds of force on your neck, as you can see in that top picture. Now, when you start flexing forward, when you're looking at your phone, even people who read as well, I'm not saying don't read, but just to be mindful of your position when you're doing these sort of tasks, you're automatically adding more force to your cervical spine, which is your neck. So you can see as it progresses from 15 to 30 to 45 and 60 degrees, you're gradually adding more weight and more pounds of pressure to the cervical segments within the spine. And that's going to go down to the rest of the spine because, as we know, everything's connected. But this is where people get headaches, neck pain, upper back pain, cramping, rounded shoulders, which compress the brachial plexus, which is the nerves that run from the neck into the hands, arms and hands. So you start getting numbness and tingling into the hands and fingers, a slew of different things. So I wanted to point out on that bottom picture, just because you're in that forward flex position doesn't mean that your head's going to fall off. I just did that for humor purposes. So can I prevent text neck? Well, yes. And my biggest pointer is simple. Cut down on screen time. Maybe go outside. We don't need to be on our phones that much. I mean, we kind of survived without phones 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and we were totally fine. But it's become such a huge thing in our lives and everything. We can't function without phones anymore, which is kind of sad. But if you have to use your phone all the time, make sure that you just bring it up to you. So within that picture on the bottom, that first guy right there, make sure that your head is not fully flexed forward. You want to make sure that you're maintaining that nice alignment so that you're only carrying the weight that your body is supposed to carry within the neck, which is the normal weight of the head, 10 to 12 pounds. If you have to, you can always recline back in a chair and then just bring your arms up and hold the phone in front of you. So I want to make one last point here, that every cell, organ, and tissue is controlled by your nervous system, like I mentioned previously. Since your spine protects this, it's probably a good idea to keep it aligned, and the best ways to do that is to engage in proper posture, and then also having your spine checked on a regular basis by a chiropractor, just to make sure that you're staying in alignment, that you're freeing up your nervous system so that it can communicate with the body, and then your body can function at normal capacity. All right. Thank you everyone again for listening, and I look forward to our next presentation. Have a great day.